Hello and welcome to the Fawley site on behalf of ExxonMobil and our contractor companies. You'll remember from your site induction that there are many key rules and pieces of information that you need to know to work safely on the site at Fawley. For example, the Fawley life-saving rules, the wearing of the correct PPE for each area of the site, general evacuation and emergency procedures, and the LPS system of behavioural safety that all site personnel use to keep them safe. The site at Fawley comprises a refinery and chemical complex which together produce a vast range of lubricants, fuels and also specialty chemical products like rubber and solvents. In order to produce these range of diverse products, the site uses many different feedstocks and processes. This means that there are many different process areas, or units, that are manufacturing products at the site. Each process unit has its own hazards, and although they are safely operated and the Fawley site has very few incidents, it's important that you know the hazards on each unit that you work on, in order that you carry out your work safely and in the unlikely event of an emergency. For example, likely hazards can include toxic or flammable fluids, high pressure systems, hot or very cold surfaces, corrosive acids or alkalis, working in an area that involves upgrading of PPE, such as double hearing protection or even wearing a life jacket when working over water. You can see that to have one induction to cover all the areas would be too long and detailed to understand. We've therefore developed specific shorter induction films for each of the units that you would be expected to work on. These inductions are very important as they contain information specific to the area that you'll be working in, including the hazards and also emergency procedures and evacuation routes that you'll require in the event of an emergency. As you did with the site induction, please give this short film your best attention, and please ask either your supervisor or ExxonMobil contact if you require any more assistance or clarification. Everybody working on units must have both a site induction and a block-specific induction. We need to ensure that everybody working at Fawley has the right information to ensure that nobody gets hurt. Welcome to the Fawley Lubes complex. The aim of this induction is to give you a brief understanding of what we do, the chemicals and materials we use and the products produced, the risks they pose and what to do if you come into contact with them. Overall, it is a guide to keeping you safe whilst working on or visiting our plants. At the end of this presentation there will be a short questionnaire. If at any point you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We as a business team on Lubes are very proud of our safety record and our safety achievements to date. This we believe was possible by following the statement. Please note there are commitments from us to you and also ask you to commit to us. Our commitment to you. We need to be vigilant at all times and we need your help to make sure nobody gets hurt. We will make sure your work area is safe, clean and tidy. And any kit or area you're working on is prepared to the highest standard. Your commitment to Lubes. Work safely to the highest standard. Make sure you understand the job you've been asked to do. If you're not, talk to your supervisor or one of the process crew. We are here to help. We'd rather that you take a little longer and complete the job safely than rush and hurt yourself. Keep your work area clean and tidy at all times. Pick up all rubbish, not just your own. All Lubes operators are here to help, not hinder. If you're unsure, unhappy, or if something changes, don't hesitate to ask. And remember, if it looks wrong, it probably is. And what is the worst that can happen? Here on Lubes, we produce a range of lubricating oil-based stocks, synthetic lube-based stocks, waxes, hydrofined diesel and distillates. The Lubes complex covers 4 operating areas and some remote tankage area at Block 10. These are all controlled from CCR4. The first is ENZA. This stands for Exol N Finer Sterling Refinery. The ENZA takes a distillate, VGO, feedstock from distillation, mixes it with a solvent called NMP. This mix separates out into 2 streams. Raffinate, or RAF as it's known, is the good quality material containing lube oil and some wax and provides the feedstock for the next lube unit, KDSR. The second stream is the byproduct called extract. This is full of aromatics and contaminants, has very poor lubricating properties and is sent to the CAT and resid units for feed. The second unit on Lubes is the Refrigeration and Filtering KDSR, Ketone Dewaxing Stirling Refinery. This unit takes its feed from Enza via tankage and mixes it with ketone solvent, which is then cooled down and passed over 6 large rotating filters. The wax is separated from the oil, and 2 streams both have the solvent removed before going to tankage. Finished product is DWO, or dewaxed oil and wax. The third and final Lubes unit is the WIZR, Wax Isomerization Stirling Refinery. WIZR uses the wax product from the KDSR, mixes it with the treat gas hydrogen to remove sulfur, passes it through a reactor to change the structure of the wax, isomerize, then has the light ends distillate, stripped to leave a fully synthetic oil-based stock we call Visom, or Mobile 1. The final unit is HD8, a hydrofiner within the Enza complex, and used to remove large amounts of sulfur from diesel to allow blending and use at filling stations as automotive diesel. So now for some specifics. The evacuation alarm for Lubes is very distinctive, like an air raid siren, but only a single tone. It's tested at 1600 hours on a Monday afternoon and only lasts for a few seconds. A real evacuation alarm will usually last several minutes until all personnel are believed to have been given sufficient time to get to one of the 4 assembly points. You need to evacuate a crosswind immediately upon hearing the evacuation alarm. Look for the 2 windsocks. One is on R1 on the Enza, the tallest structure on Lubes. The other is on R101 on the WIZR. Alternatively, look for steam leaks, as that's a quicker indication of wind direction if you're not within sight of a windsock. It's good practice to make a note of the wind direction whenever you're entering a block. Leave whatever job you're doing in whatever state it's in. You may not know what the evacuation is for, so it's in your interest to get off the plant as quickly as possible. The 4 assembly points are located around the perimeter of the units. C Avenue 6th Street Junction, normally where you'll walk onto the block. 5th Street main entrance, where you're giving permission to bring a vehicle onto the block. B Avenue 5th Street Crossroads. B Avenue 7th Street at the west battery limits of the Enza. When you're at an assembly point, stay there. The permit coordinator or shift leader will go to each assembly point with the signing in book and sign each person out. Only then can you leave the evacuation assembly point. If you're off grade when you hear the emergency evacuation alarm, head for the ladders and stairways that are painted orange. The orange is to highlight a route to grade. Not all ladders and stairways go to grade. Many lead to dead ends or underslung platforms. So if working above grade, spend a few minutes looking for your exit. It may not be the route you've just taken. Plant emergency telephones, PET phones as they're known, are identified by the red hood over the top and a red and white sign above them. There are 5 telephones around the units in visible positions. Inside the hood should be a sticker detailing your location. Press 1 to speak to the control room, press 9 to speak directly with FRG, the Fire Response Group. Do not hesitate to use a PET phone if you have an emergency or are concerned. Hydrogen sulfide, H2S, is a gas produced during hydrofining. This process takes place on WIZR and also HD8, the diesel hydrofining unit mixed up within the Enza. H2S smells like rotten eggs at low concentrations, less than 5 parts per million. At higher concentrations, it cannot be smelt, and 700 parts per million will leave you unconscious immediately and will kill you. On the WIZR, concentrations can reach 20,000 parts per million. On HDH, concentrations can reach 117,000 parts per million. For this reason, everybody must carry an H2S monitor and escape respirator. There's a bump station inside CCR4 main building. You should be familiar with how to use your escape respirator and be mindful that it's valid for 4 years after manufacture. The date the respirator expires is on the label on the respirator. Pipework with H2S streams are either painted blue or have blue bands around them. The WIZR has a blue line painted on the floor to indicate the presence of H2S. HD8 does not. Vehicles. If, and only if, you have permission to bring a vehicle onto the block, you must first collect a vehicle pass from CCR4 for the vehicle. The pass should be displayed in the vehicle. The vehicle must have a Cholwin spark arrestor fitted and a refinery red pass clearly on display. It's essential that you switch the engine off when not in use. The keys must be left in ignition in case it needs to be moved in an emergency. If the evacuation alarm sounds, under no circumstances should you return to the vehicle and start it. Hearing protection. It's your choice as to which type of hearing protection suits you best, but whether you choose earplugs or earmuffs, you must use them at all times when you're outside. The only exception to this is when operators are either arriving from home or leaving to go home. Double hearing protection is only required in 2 places on Lubes, the ENSA and KDSR compressor houses. This requirement is identified by the signs around these areas, a face with a number 2 on it. Other hazards present on Lubes are gases, H2S, ENSA, WISA and HD8 are all blue line areas. HD8 has high concentration of H2S up to 117,000 parts per million, or 11% inside some of the pipework. HSE limit for 8-hour working day is 5 parts per million. Ensure you have your own H2S detectors. RFG, fuel gas in ENSA, WISA and HD8. Treat gas in ENSA, WISA and HD8. Nitrogen in all units. Propane in KDSR chilling. Wax and oil on slippery surfaces. Solvents, NMP, N-methyl-2 pyrrolidone. That's harmful and may cause skin irritation. MIBK, ketone, is harmful, may cause dermatitis with prolonged contact, and may also cause drowsiness and nausea. MEK, ketone, which is an irritant that may cause dermatitis with prolonged contact and may also cause drowsiness and nausea. Your part. Our expectation from you starts with your arrival on the unit. Parking is only permitted along C Avenue. Arrival to CCR4 should be via the 6th Street entrance from C Ave, as it's the shortest from parking. However, access is also permitted from 5th Street. When you first arrive at the Lubes, you'll need to sign in at CCR4. The signing in book is always on the counter at CCR4 Permit Control. You need to clearly write your name and an accurate description of your location. You can sign in as a group, but the number of people you sign in must accurately reflect how many people are with you. Such as, if someone leaves the group for any reason, they must first amend the signing in book to reflect how many are still at the job site. It's important that the signing in book is accurate, as it is the permit coordinator's responsibility to use the book to account for all individuals at evacuation assembly points should the need arise. Other information to assist you while you're visiting Lubes are telephone numbers 36266 for KDSR and WISA, 36615 for ENSA and HD8. If you have access to a radio, the area operators can be contacted as follows. Channel 11 for Lubes 2, which covers ENSA, WISA and HD8. Lubes 3 covers KDSR and Block 10. At Lubes, we are very proud of our safety record and strive to protect it at all times. We are conscious that we need to be vigilant at all times, and we need your help to make sure nobody gets hurt. Our commitment to you. We'll make sure your work area is safe, clean and tidy, and any kit or area you're working on is prepared to the highest standard. Your commitment to Lubes. Work safely to the highest standard. Make sure you understand the job you've been asked to do. If you're not, talk to your supervisor or one of the process crew. We are here to help you. We'd rather that you take a little longer and complete the job safely than rush and hurt yourself. Keep your work area clean and tidy at all times. Pick up all rubbish, not just your own. All Lubes operators are here to help, not hinder. If you're unsure, unhappy, or if something changes, don't hesitate to ask. And remember, if it looks wrong, it probably is. And what is the worst that can happen? Remember, all the details for the units are contained inside your white induction book. The information provided is critical to you and your colleagues' safety. Have the right information at the right time, rather than having no information at the wrong time. Also, when you're working on our units, please at all times always use good housekeeping philosophy, use waste bins and skips provided. Never deviate from your permit conditions without getting the permit reauthorized. Don't forget, a permit to work is required for any activity and should be read and understood by all involved, as it will contain additional safety information relevant to that task at that time. Also remember, our units are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Please do not block access or egress to any equipment or roadway. We would also ask that if you see an unsafe act or process situation, please report it immediately so that it can be investigated at the earliest opportunity. Pet phones are located across the blocks. Dial 9 in an emergency. Even if it's a false alarm or condition, we'd rather investigate the potential situation than not know. Your observation could be critical. Please remember, our goal is always nobody gets hurt. We mean it, and with your safe work on our unit, together we can achieve this. Finally, if there's anything in this presentation that you aren't clear of, please talk to your supervisor or a member of the process team. Thank you for listening and have a safe day.